Oh man, check this out. It's the Harrington and Richardson 723 Style Carbine, a clone. Hit it, Yoda.
Begun the Clone War as.
All right, let's check this out. Hey everyone, we appreciate you watching the review, but help us out. Hit the like and subscribe button and let YouTube know that you dig our content. In exchange, we'll share with you this cringy gun meme. So as an overview, this 723 Style Carbine is kind of an interesting piece. It holds a place in between the full A1 and A2. And we're gonna go over those features in just a minute. But as an overview, it is an AR-15 style rifle in a carbine format that is, as you can see, obviously older from some of the details. Talking about ergonomics, we can delve into a little bit of what makes this a different rifle. Starting at the back here, this carbine buttstock, man, it is very minimalistic. There's no butt pad. You got a really kind of grippy panel on the back. And then of course the adjustability here is pretty old school. Moving forward, you've got the original mil-spec charging handle. And obviously on the upper here, you can see that it is an A1 style upper. If not based on the charging handle alone, but the simple fact that there is no brass deflector right here. You still have the forward assist. You can thank the Army for that, from what I understand. Eugene Stoner didn't want it, but there it is anyway. You've got standard controls as far as the trigger on the lower, but then you can also see a little bit of a difference here with this grip. That is an A2 style grip. We know that from the little finger hump there that is so infuriating. The mag release, again, pretty standard, but I'm gonna flip it around now and we'll look at the other side here. And you can see that the fire selector, again, A2 style, as is the bolt release. So the carry handle here is indicative of the A series of the M16 rifle. And then moving forward, you've got this shortened fore end that consists of these two halves, and then the front sight base, and then the A2 kind of bird cage style muzzle brake here at the end. Of course, you've got bayonet lug, and you've got ability to hang your sling there, and on the back here as well. So kind of an interesting in-between piece as far as the transition of the A1 to the A2, and then ultimately moving forward to the M4. That's a little bit more than we would normally discuss, but because this is kind of a period piece rifle, it's fitting in that niche right between the A1 and the A2. Okay, so it's fun switching back to irons. It's been a minute, I gotta admit. You know, we move things forward in firearms and we switch to a lot of red dots. That pushes you more toward a target focus where you're just confirming that the red dot is there. That's not what you're looking at. You're looking at your target and you're seeing the red dot superimposed over your target, and then you break your shot. But going back to irons teaches you once again that you need to focus on that front sight. And so that creates a situation where the target is then superimposed, but your front sight is what you're focusing on. And in this case, with this type of rifle, it creates an interesting situation when you push out to distance. Now, these old rifles with a carry handle have a dual diopter in the rear. And normally, that's a situation where you can switch if you're shooting at distance to a smaller diopter, because that allows you a very fine sight picture where you have just a little bit of window outside and you can really focus on taking that longer distance shot. Whereas if you're shooting things that are up close, you want a bigger sight picture, so you use a bigger diopter. Now, this rifle, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to have that. As near as I can tell, the diopters are essentially the same. So here's this one, and then there's that one. I can't tell a difference with my naked eye. So we're just gonna go with it and shoot. We're just pinging steel here at 50 yards, and I'm having to focus on my front sight post and see exactly where it's hitting, so I'll get an idea of where to hold to shoot groups later on. Okay, so I'm just holding at the bottom of the target downrange, the small steel plate, and just holding the front post at the very bottom of it, and that's where I'm getting my hits here at 50 yards. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time adjusting or doing anything like that. I just wanna see roughly where I'm at so that when we push out to 100 and shoot groups, we'll have an idea of where we're gonna hold and hit. Everyone, we'd like to remind you that even though we enjoy making these videos, I also wrote an article about it. So if you click in the link below in the description, you'll see a link over to pewpewtactical.com and the full article where you'll get even more information. Okay, we pushed out to 100 yards and we're going to do our level best. When I say our, I mean my level best, using irons and shooting at our target downrange to see what kind of groups we can get. Now we're using AAC, and this is from Palmetto State Armory, and what I thought was just normal 55 grain full metal jacket practice ammo or range ammo has performed admirably well in the past. If you take a look back and look at our Fold AR review, man, that stuff was shooting 3/4 group. That was a very accurate rifle though. So we'll see what we can do here. The real hitch in the equation is gonna be me, because I don't shoot irons anymore, and shooting at 100 yards is gonna make it even more interesting. But let's get to it and see what we come up with. Okay, pretty consistent sight picture each shot, but that doesn't necessarily translate to a super tight group. So let's head down range and read them and weep. All right, so I'm not terribly disappointed with this. My sight picture is pretty rough at 100 yards. I'm barely able to see the target downrange, and I'm looking at a mostly covered front sight post, and 3/4 hold here. And these four are within, a couple inches of each other, 3 inches, say. And then this one I dropped for sure. So that makes this group around 5 inches, so 5 MOA. But again, like I said, this is irons on a carbine length rifle. Kind of interesting to come up with these results. I suspect that if I mounted some kind of optic on there, that the rifle is probably more accurate than that, particularly with the AAC ammo. But hey man, I'm not going to complain about that. It's moments like these that make me wonder, what would Stoner do? Now, I think he would say, you don't need that fancy rest. Get on the ground. I gave you iron sights. Make some hits downrange. My God, that's just what I'm going to do. I've got the Feather of True Flight, which is +5 for accuracy. I'm going to get rid of this rest, and I'm going to make my shots as Stoner intended. Let's do this. All right, so as Stoner intended, iron sights, no support whatsoever, just balancing off the magazine. I got 2 here and 3 here. So again, about 3-4 MOA, something like that. I think this feather's gonna work. I might just keep adding, see if that improves things. Look at that. Failure to feed. Now that's on my magazine, which is an old Colt AR-15 magazine with a Magpul anti-tilt follower. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. But that's the only malfunction that we've had. And as near as I can tell, there we go. Could be magazine based. Yeah, it's not like in this magazine. Yep, definitely not like in this magazine. Okay, I'm gonna call that magazine based, and we'll move back to the other one and try again. So what we're gonna do now, because of that mag issue that we had with, again, an older Colt AR-15 magazine with a Magpul anti-tilt follower is run through a series of different magazines just to see if this thing will feed from it. Now this is the magazine that comes with it. You get a 30 round old aluminum style AR-15 magazine. We'll run through a few rounds here. We've already proven that this one works well, but then we'll cycle through a few different brands and types of magazines just to see how they're feeding and if there's any issues. Got a small P mag here. Got a KCI 30 rounder. And another old Colt. Ah, there we go. Did you hear that? It does not like these old Colt style magazines. I'm not sure why. It's probably the magazine itself, but everything else it seems to be feeding fine. But what happens is you get a scenario where it just won't pull it out of the feed lips and launch it forward. Again, I have every reason to believe that this is a magazine because otherwise the rifle is performing perfectly. All right, so accuracy is partially affected by the trigger. And this trigger has a very mil-spec feel. One of the first things I notice is the distance and the length of pull is kind of short. So it tends to make me want to get more trigger finger in there, which I don't want to do. I want to be out here. That's what's comfortable for me. And then I know I'm not using more of my hand and potentially changing the input on the rifle as I press that and break that shot. Let's just demonstrate it here. I'm going to pull back. There's a little bit of creep. Couple, like I'm in 3 clicks in now, and then it breaks, and now reset. Extremely audible and tactile. You can like really feel and hear that. So it's a, like I said, it feels like a mil-spec trigger. We'll do it one more time. Quite a bit of pressure building and a little bit of travel. Then it breaks. Reset is almost immediately on the return. So one of the cool little design features that not too many people talk about, when I do a press check here and I put my charging handle back in, you'll notice that the bolt, if you're paying attention, didn't go all the way forward. This little bevel right here on the bolt is designed so that you can push it forward. All right, we're about to give you our final thoughts on the 723 Style Carbine, but before we do, we want to remind you one more time, please head over and hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Final thoughts. This is a cool little rifle. Now, I'm going to tell you that I was issued something similar to this many, many years ago, and I am not a clone type person. I'm not interested in going back because ARs have gotten so much better. The utility of them, the features that you have now, all these things are really cool, and so I'm not nostalgic to go back to those years. I'm certainly not nostalgic to go back and shoot with iron sights or mil-spec triggers, but there are a lot of people out there who are, and this is going to be a great gun for people like that. The shooting impulse was great. It was very easy to control. It really put me back. I mean, it reminded me of the old guns that I used to shoot like this. It's accurate. I want to say that it would probably be even more accurate in the hands of a better shooter. It'll absolutely get done what you want it to do. As far as reliability, very good. I would in fact say 0 issues whatsoever. We had 2 malfunctions that were magazine induced. And then when we removed those magazines out of the equation and cycled back through everything else, we had 0 failures whatsoever. It's a cool rifle. I dig it. And another aspect of it that's probably a benefit of going back in time is that it's lightweight. This thing almost weighs nothing. I would guess that it's around 5 or 6 pounds. I mean, it is just extremely light, and that's not something that you're going to see anymore with the modern mission creep of the AR-15, right? We bolt things on and it just gets heavier and heavier. But overall, really cool, good accuracy, good reliability. The stock is not going to be very comfortable just because of the butt pad. You know, there's really not any kind of meat back here whatsoever. It's just a piece of plastic that's going to be on your shoulder or on your chest. So that's just something that you can get used to. But again, overall, really cool rifle. Now, the price is $1,099 last time I checked it. So it's a little bit expensive as far as what you're getting. The clone situation, you're going to pay to get something that's a pretty accurate representation based upon all of the features that this rifle has. But for an accurate and reliable AR-15, that's not a bad deal either. The only complaint that I had really is the diopter not being any different. I can't tell any difference in the size, so my accuracy potentially was affected, that and the mil-spec trigger. But hey, these are all par for the course, and this is pretty much what you can expect with a clone type rifle. So that's going to do it for us. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.